Wake up, New Orleans. Good morning. Happy hump day, y'all. Welcome to the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 a.m. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White, and my co-host this morning is none other than Pastor Dr.
Good
Torrey
morning. I'm back.
Sanders. He is back.
He's back. How you
Listen,
doing?
I don't know how Oliver always sends to miss his favorite day. He love hump day. Get to slide on into Friday before we start the weekend. But hey, we'll see wherever you are. We miss you over here.
That's right.
But I'm always excited to see you.
Well,
because
same here.
we
Same
can
here.
chop it up. We can chop it up.
That's right.
And so we're gonna start off by talking about this brunch that you guys are having.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
First, welcome everybody. I mean, and it's good to see y'all be here this morning. And it's cold outside.
It is.
But so use those layers.
Yeah.
And make sure the heat's working. Pay the bill. And
Mm-hmm.
everything. But on Saturday, January 18th, the Sigma Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, my beloved, that's right, my beloved chapter and fraternity, we're hosting a Martin Luther King celebration brunch. It's going to be at the Watson Memorial Teaching Ministries in their fellowship hall.
Shout out to Pastor Watson.
Yeah, and if you want to get tickets, it's a brunch. It's all kind of food. We got entertainment.
Ooh, you got excited when you saw about the food.
Oh yeah,
now.
I was excited about that. But it's a real brunch, real gospel, some gospel music. Brother Craig Adams, Mr. Craig Adams, wonderful musician, and our own Alpha Ensemble with some of the greatest singers who happen to be Alphas, Vance Volkerson of Volkerson Sausage, and Reverend Mitchell Stevens, and some of them. And so we're going to have great music. And we're going to honor, of course, recognize Dr. King. And, of course, he was a member of our dear fraternity. And then also we're going to recognize clergy who were members of our fraternity from the past as well as the present. And so it's going to be a good time, good fun. You can look at tickets online on Facebook. You can go to our page, Sigma Lambda chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha, also on my page on Facebook, Torrance Sanders. And you can click on the link there and get your ticket. And bring everybody.
Bring everybody.
Yeah.
So listen, when you were talking about paying the bill and, putting the layers on, this is also not single ladies weather because, I'm just going to throw it on out there.
I hear you. That's right.
Yeah, you got to go. You can't even rub the body heat. You can't even do that. So, shout out to us single people trying to navigate
That's right.
this 30-degree weather. And don't forget to wrap your pipes up. If you are on the North Shore, they're telling you to wrap those pipes.
That's right.
But we come from the black household where we just drip the water and make sure it don't freeze. I'm just saying.
That's right.
So if you're not on the North Shore and you're not worried about the pipes and having to wrap them, but still trickle that water because we don't know what might happen.
That's right.
And also be safe.
That's right. Yeah, and pray for our neighbors all the way to the north in terms of Washington D.C., New York. They got snow up there.
Yes.
And in New York City, they don't have snow, but it's really, really cold up there.
And I'm also hoping, Dr. Sanders, that everybody's doing something, particularly around the Martin Luther King weekend, because we also have something else happening on January 20th that it don't have none of my business. I'm gonna mind my 92% business. It don't have nothing to do with me. So I'm finding every and anything to do.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to.
We needed to call that a day of prayer, that inauguration day, because it has already begun, and he ain't even in the chair yet.
The Gulf of America.
My.
The Gulf of America. And all he said was it has a nice ring to it.
It has a nice ring to it, but seriously, the Gulf of America to taking over the Panama Canal. And Panama, released a statement saying, we don't take such talk lightly.
Listen, he tried to play with Canada. And Canada said, I'm going to cut all the lights off.
Why do we need Canada? Do we need Canada to Greenland? But the thing is when you talk about this their version of making America great, and when they think America was great, was imperialist America.
Yeah.
Was when America was run all over the world, snatching people's stuff.
But I think
taking people's stuff.
That's the part of
disinvesting,
especially for Black MAGA supporters and marginalized communities who support this MAGA agenda. I think that's the part of the history that they have absolutely no understanding of.
Yes.
So when they're screaming "Make America Great Again," that does not take you into account.
No,
I just don't think that they're aware. And ignorance is no excuse, but it is blissful for them. So
that's right.
We're gonna let them have it because I'm sure you were in the percentage of black men who didn't drink the Kool-Aid. That's not,
Oh,
it
no.
don't have nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But I do know, if you don't have any business on the 20, go find you some, or
Yeah.
just sleep.
Or
Sleep is always a good
Or
alternative.
I'll say this. I'll say get even busier. Rededicate yourself to the work of justice
Get
and
something,
social
some
justice,
good trouble.
because there will be. That's right. There will be. John, shout out to John
Yeah.
Lewis. There will be a need. There is already a need for more justice workers, more laborers, as the scriptures say, in the vineyard.
I know.
Pray ye the Lord of the harvest that He will send forth laborers into His harvest.
I know the
You
Fred
know.
Hamptons of the world flipping over, doing a little Dougie down there.
Yeah.
Because, I just don't understand. Like, our leaders are probably tossing and turning right now, trying to figure out how did we get here
Yeah.
from where
yeah.
they brought us to.
But we got to remember, as you know, history and I know history. Part of this is kind of surprising because we had the Obama years, and there has been advancements
They're
made.
still making us pay for the Obama
That's
years.
right. But unfortunately, this is America.
Yeah. 3 Ks. No C.
This is America, and those moments of progress that we've had, post Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement, when things were challenged, those were moments that interrupted what we know to be America in terms of that, and so where we pushed society forward and everything, and so we're coming into another time where we're going to have to push like we did before.
Yeah.
To not only to stop certain things, but to maintain what we have. I mean, just over the terrorist attack and people calling, saying DEI it was responsible because we didn't select. We don't have people with merit, just people who fit a category, and that's all people are concerned about. I mean, at the height, nobody said that, and when 9/11 happened, that Giuliani was a DEI hire.
I said that
right?
on
that
the
was
show. That's crazy.
Yeah, was Giuliani a DEI hire too? I mean,
But to them, he probably was. I mean, they probably just didn't say it out loud, but to them, he probably was. And I think the scariest thing about this is they like to talk about this merit-based world, or this idea that folk are being hired for surgery, but nobody talks about those legacy hires or the fact that you only got in that university because your people gave a little endowment to the university, or your daddy or grandpa name probably on a bench on the campus. Nobody talks about that.
That's right.
Did we forget Operation Varsity Blues that fast?
Yeah, and the bottom line, merit was never the issue on our side.
It's never been the issue because we always had to be better.
That's right. We always had merit.
They're redefining merit. It's a new definition, Pastor. That's what
that's right.
Dr. Sanders is a new definition of merit.
It's a new definition. Yeah, I mean, we all, no one ever said lower the standard.
No.
Y'all
want to keep moving the goalposts, and we keep kicking 56-yard field goals, and then we got to kick a 61.
If the standard is even, then let me know what the standard. We can meet it. That's never been the issue.
They will never do that.
The issue is give everybody opportunity, right, and being fair and access, and not closing us out because of the color of our skin, regardless of our merit.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
They forget the days when they were forced to allow our kind, in their schools, and then they had us sitting one over here in the corner, and everybody, and we still out. They forget those days, right? What are you talking about? Like, if you're going to talk about the merit, like we get in because of DEI, like let's start talking about how you made it in.
That's right.
And it definitely they had nothing to do with no bootstraps. Hey, you wasn't pulling up no bootstraps.
And
those weren't even your bootstraps.
That's right. But we got to be honest too. I mean, I'm a proud graduate of Howard University. Went there on scholarship, and I'm not bragging, but I want to make this point. No, I'm not bragging to make this point. Is when I still went to Tulane, which is how white supremacy operates. That internalized inferiority. Yeah. Even though I was a standout and an undergrad, I still had a little bit of worry. Was I going to be able to make it at the almighty Tulane? Am I qualified enough?
Did you make it?
I was like, is this what I was worried about?
Are you the pastor doctor?
I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, not to put but it's like, we allow these
you was
myths.
Like, this it?
Yeah. We allow these myths of superiority, and they must be so highly advanced. And so we have to, that whole merit thing is really, we are just as qualified, have always been as qualified, if not more qualified, as everybody else.
Somebody's woke this early
Uh-oh.
to have conversations with us right here on WBOK 1230 AM. And if you want to join the conversation with Doc and Pastor Doc, the number here is 504-582-9422. Good morning, Aaron. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good
We're
morning.
Yeah, you're right. First off, Happy New Year's to y'all, man.
Thank
Happy
you.
New
Thank
Year.
you.
Shouts out to the Fatherhood Roundtable as well as the People's Political Party. When y'all was talking about the leaders, the leader fact, you know, I found it quite strange that how those pastors, you know, came so quick to coming back, Kirkpatrick, but when we have community leaders, real community leaders within our community, and they come under the same scrutiny, these same attacks, some of those pastors that came to Kirkpatrick backing, they'd be quiet when our real leaders, right, come underneath this same scrutiny, especially when they know that I'm talking about our leaders in our community, right? When they know the work what they put in, and they know they be innocent, but yet some of them same leaders that we have that even back Kirkpatrick, they sit back and be quiet while they know our leaders are going through this scrutiny just because they standing and backing the people. But them same leaders be quiet when our leaders come underneath attack. And that's one of the reasons why we see, because like say, all of our black leaders, they think that our black leaders are only able to be leaders because of DEI and other special required interests, as if we don't go to school and get educated and, you know, make our way. But man, it's on us, bro.
I hear you.
Straight up.
We appreciate the comments. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you got Spider-Man powers, because that's definitely on my paper. I wrote it down to talk about. But thank you, Aaron, as always, for your commentary. And look, hang up and listen so you can hear what we have to say about it.
Well,
we appreciate you over
Straight
here.
up.
And you know, somebody always told me, you know, you ain't a leader unless somebody following you.
Yeah.
And just because, you know, so we have to be careful about that word leader.
Yeah.
Because some people, you know, whether they're pastors or others, you know, if it's just them, and it ain't nobody following.
Ain't no flock.
Ain't no
Ain't no sheep.
And
they calling themselves shepherd with no sheep.
And so, you know, we define, and my brother on the phone, we need to define as a community who our real leaders are, because people will always self-anoint themselves, but unless they are truly doing the work that you said and coming it from the perspective that you mentioned, then they're not really our leaders. And so we have to make that distinction. Just because somebody's on TV, just because whatever, you know, the other side will always prop up people that they want to say are leading us, but we decide who our leaders are.
And I absolutely agree. I listen. I couldn't have said it any better. But the to the caller's point, to Aaron's direct point, until you've been in a foxhole by yourself, you don't know what that feels like. And I personally have a story, and people think they know my story and what happened to me with the Reverend Southall situation. They have no clue. You only know the parts that made the media. But what I will tell you is this. That day in court when I had to take the mic and talk about my experience with him, there were letters written. Aaron was there, so he knows. Letters written. Multiple pastors in this city wrote letters on his behalf and speaking up for him. Not one of them spoke up for me. Not one. Not one. And that is very telling, because what it tells me is there's no place for righteousness when stuff like this is profitable, right? There's some sort of gain from what they're doing in this show of force for Kirkpatrick. I had no idea that there were even calls for her resignation. I had not heard any calls that were loud enough to warrant a press conference surrounded by all of our clergy in the city. I had not heard it.
All.
I'm just not all. You're right. But I had not heard anything that sounded the alarm to the magnitude that we would have had to show that. You know what I'm saying? So those types of things resonate with people whose boots on the ground and they're paying attention. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm always talking about. Some of us are so lost. Like we are very, 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 we in the wilderness. We are lost. No compass. We are lost. Because if you can't see what symbolism matters, language matters, imagery matters, right? You have this direct attack on our city's mayor, who happens to be also a black woman, right?
Yes.
And you have a coordinated attack against her. But the moment, somebody says, well, where is her support? You get almost jumped on for saying that. But then we see this big rally around, if you protect the police chief, then you must be
protecting the mayor.
To be protecting the mayor, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Unless you're showing us that there's a division there and you want to slide into it. I'm not understanding that part of it. But there's something to be talked about. There's something to be examined there, especially when we're in such a critical time where we must figure out a path forward together. Or New Orleans is not going to be the city that you and I know about and understand. And so I look, shout out to the Fatherhood Roundtable and Aaron and all of the people whose third eye seems to be on.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and
right.
as you mentioned, and let's be very clear, it was not all. But for those people who did stand up there.
Yeah. And let me be clear. I mean, I wasn't at any press conferences over the, these last few days or what have you. I've been invited to a lot, right? And a lot of events. But, I am supportive. I think we should be supportive of our city leadership because I don't think they should be blamed because this is a black city.
No.
Still,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I think, but there are efforts, as you know, to take as much of our city away from our city, and put it in other hands, whether it's the French Quarter and all that kind of stuff. So I'm supporting that.
Chief.
Yeah, and we need to do that. But she did make some missteps. Severe missteps.
And here's the thing, and like I said, there's no time to talk about it. We got to get better first. We have to heal first. There are dead people. There are people still injured. I have no problem with showing a sign of support for her.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, how do you choose, or why are you choosing to support one entity and not the other when they're all a part of this city's leadership? There's a whole bunch of questions that need answering.
That's right.
And a whole lot of blame to be shared amongst leadership, state and local.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So don't act as if this is one person's bag to carry because it's not.
That's right.
And so that's my point. Yeah. So if we're going to make this concerted effort to protect one, then you're showing us who you are when you make a concerted effort to be quiet about the other party involved. And you're not going to ignore the fact that race has a huge part in it. You're not going to ignore the fact that gender has a huge part in it. And if you want to talk about the issue, you cannot talk about the issue without factoring those two.
All the time.
All the time.
There are no non-racial, non-gender conversations.
You're so smart. Did Tulane do that for you?
No. That's being black for about 50 years did that to me.
Listen, I love coming on air and having conversations with people, especially when our minds are parallel to each other. I love the WBOK listening audience. I love them pushing us. So if you want to join in this conversation and you have something to add, the number is 504-582-9422. We're going to go to break, but on the other side of the break, we're going to talk to Representative Candace Newell. She's going to talk to us about the New Orleans terrorist attack and about unity in New Orleans.
That's right.
Even
we
possible?
Need some unity. That's right.
That and a whole lot more right here, WBOK 1230 AM.
The station you listen to all day long.
All day
Our
long.
Station.
Our station, huh? Stay with us.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon to What's Growing New Orleans, hosted by Angel Vanderpool, What's Growing New Orleans is a weekly conversation about developing and growing Black businesses throughout the region. Brought to you by the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month, a service of the community scientist and Rise St. James. This month, we're focusing on lead, a heavy metal that's dense, soft, and poses serious health risks. In Cancer Alley, lead exposure from industrial emissions or contaminated soil can significantly increase cancer risks and other health problems. Stay informed and protect your health. For more information, visit risestjames.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. In studio with me is my co-host, Reverend Dr. Torrin Sanders.
Good
and
morning.
Super-producer Nara Sanders is behind the glass, holding us all together. But in studio right now with us, we have our rep, Candace Newell. How you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Good morning.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to the Good Morning Show.
Thank you.
So listen, I know it's quite a heavy time for all of our city leaders specifically, right? In the wake of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack, I know there are a lot of questions. Everybody's searching for answers.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling hopeful. Hopeful that New Orleans can be the shining gem, like I always say we are, of the nation, and that we can make sure that our citizens are safe here and let the tourists know that when they come here, they'll be safe and be able to have the good time that they seek when they come to New Orleans, but also having our citizens know that they're safe and just living their everyday lives. So that's what I'm hopeful for.
Wow, so much has been going on. I saw you released a statement about the attack and, reminding, you said this is a horrible reminder of the violent world that we live in.
Yes.
But talk about some of the joy that you've seen in terms of how people have responded.
That has been an uplift to me, just to see how people have come out and have been supportive of the families who lost loved ones and the families whose lives are changed because of the injuries that some of their loved ones have sustained. That has been a positive sight that I've seen. And then seeing all of the national attention and also highlighting some of the portions of what's going on in the city, and just seeing some of the challenges that we face. At one of the press conferences, I was listening to Mayor Cantrell, and she was saying, well, these bollards were placed 10 years ago. And we knew a long time ago that they needed to be replaced. But just recently, with the funding for the Super Bowl, we were able to specifically dedicate money towards replacing those bollards. So just seeing all of these little things just happening, that has been positive for me. And also the phone calls that I've received from my colleagues just reaching out and kind of having a different opinion now of New Orleans. Before I got to the legislature, it was always the great state of New Orleans, and I never understood why they called us that. But I quickly learned, but they also saw all of the challenges that we face in the city, which is behind the reasons why we constantly asking for our fair share of the resources that we generate for this state and that come into this state. So I've just seen a lot of things that are positive.
Yeah, and in your statement also, you raised an interesting thing that I had not thought about. But I know last year or so, the legislature passed a bill to limit protests, so to speak, that happened like during COVID. And so now where people who drive through a crowded place are removed from civil liability.
Yes.
And now then crazily now it's like, okay, well, so wait a minute. So what about this situation? Would he have been removed from civil liability?
Exactly.
Driving down Bourbon Street?
Exactly. And that was, so those are two different pieces of legislation.
Okay.
One was about protest and the other one did not address protest. It was just about the removal of limiting the liability of a person that does drive through a crowd. And although this situation didn't necessarily fit into that, I still had that thought, what if? What would this have looked like? And what was the legislative intent behind this piece of legislation? I asked those questions on the House floor. I never got the response that, or I never got the legislative intent that I was hoping for, because the conversation that was being had was strictly about protests. But I know like I said, the gem of the city that I love and I live in, all of our actions that happen in the street aren't a protest. Everything we do in the street isn't negative. That's the way we celebrate in the streets of our city. So what would a situation look like in the author's mind that would limit liability for someone who rammed their car through the crowd?
Yes.
And that was what I thought about when I saw this attack. Even though the facts of this situation doesn't fit, it still just piqued my mind to think about what he was thinking and what he envisioned.
I think that we all know what the intent was about that legislation, because I watched you on the House floor. I watched several of our local representatives on the House floor, arguing against the asinine nature of this piece of legislation, because we are a communal city. We are in the streets for any and everything that needs to be celebrated, to be mourned, to be thought of. We were in the streets for Frankie Beverly.
Yes.
Right. And so we understand that.
Deep in the streets.
Yes, we were deep in the streets, right?
For Eric Paulson,
we were on the streets for Eric Paulson. So we're not going to have them think that we don't know what their intent was.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you for going on the floor and pushing back against that, Matt Willard, and all of the folk that I did witness.
Yes.
But my question right to you now is there a unified path forward between local and state leadership, especially in the wake of what we're watching happen in terms of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack, and how our state officials decided to handle it, and how our local officials are trying to fend off the disparaging remarks about our city's leadership? So is there a unified path forward in terms of state and local government?
As far as protections of this city,
yes,
I've always seen a unified path, particularly between the Orleans delegation and the legislature, as well as with our city council and with our mayor. The Orleans delegation has always been supportive as to making sure that the city has the funding that's needed to carry out the projects that strengthen our city. As far as what happens once we get that money and once it's turned over to the city, my hands are out of it. Like, I step back because I've done my job. It's now time for the next level of city representation to do theirs. But I always make sure that I do my job in making sure we get the money, and that my colleagues from the other parts of the state understand why we need the money and what it's going to look like once the money is done and once the project is finished, once that funding is there.
And speaking of leadership, we want to shout out to the CEO of RTA. In your statement, you also are giving kudos to the leadership there for putting armed security on our ferries.
Yes.
In the wake of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack. So can you talk to us more about that?
I can't because I don't know all of the details of that. But just knowing that this is a step we're taking.
Yes.
I was just elated about that because sometimes we forget about that part of the transportation for the city. But the ferry shuttles a lot of folks, a lot of locals, as well as a lot of tourists. And so I was just glad that that was that forethought.
Oh, that somebody thought of
that
it. Yes.
Somebody thought of it,
Absolutely.
and to do it before it's asked or needed.
Yeah, and as a representative from New Orleans East, and I know, we were talking about the terrorist attack, but we also know that violent crime went down across the city, but also specifically in the East.
Yes.
Talk to us about that piece, because crime is crime, violence is violence.
Yes.
What's your estimation of what led to that decrease, and what's being done to maintain it and to further reduce it?
Well, First of all, it's a shout out to the NOPD because they have been using all of their resources and being a little bit more visible in the area to kind of deter some crime. And then, I want to thank the men and women of Troop NOLA for coming down and offering that assistance and that extra visibility on the highways to free up more of our NOPD officers so that they could be in the city streets and in the neighborhoods, just to make sure that our citizens are safe and feel safe.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, I, as well as I know several people, were probably a little nervous about Troop NOLA,
yes,
coming in and what that deal was going to look like and everything. But you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, that you think that Troop NOLA is a good thing.
I think it's a good thing now because the focus shifted from just the French Quarter. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, New Orleans isn't just the French Quarter and the
That's
CBD
right.
and the Wet House District.
Yeah.
We got people in the Lower Ninth Ward, the Bywater, the New Orleans East, St. Rock area, Gentilly. And I'm sorry, I'm being a biased because that's the areas that I represent.
All right. That's all right.
But we have people all over who need to feel safe, and we have tourists that go and stay. They get Airbnbs and hotels in those areas as well. And all of those parts of the city need to have that extra level of comfort and protection that the Troop NOLA was going to offer to the French Quarter area. We need to have it all over.
Well, for me, I think my push with that is in terms of the comfort level of it. I think we as citizens, I know we just didn't understand what that would look like. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even in terms of jurisdiction,
Right.
if there are Troop NOLA folk, I saw them on St. Bernard, on St. Bernard, and I'm trying to figure out, do they have the jurisdiction or is it NOPD? So I think for a lot of us, we don't mind having, the extra layers of protection as long as we are being policed in an equitable manner.
Right.
And as long as we can understand what their roles and responsibilities are and who has the jurisdiction. Because I'm telling you, I was shocked when I saw them when I was driving down the street and I just saw on them. And I was like, wait. And then I learned there were highways in our city that belong to the state. And so, and that's just something that was a lesson learned for me because I was just wondering, what does that look like? Who has jurisdiction? And we just don't want to be militarized in terms of our communities. That's
yes, and that was a lot of our thoughts too. It's me particular. I had that thought too. Like, what is it going to look like? Because the conversation came up among some of my colleagues at the time, right? During the Ronald Green discussions, not around the attack, not that long ago, but more recently when we were having those discussions in the legislature, it came up about bringing Troop NOLA here or bringing the state police here, and we did not know how that would look considering the conversations we were having. It was like we don't need that level of trauma by the police force in our areas.
Right.
But once we did get have more conversation and understanding what their role would be, it gave us a little bit more comfortable, a level of comfort and just that understanding and having that conversation. Because I was talking to Governor Landry and he was like, why don't you? I said, it's not that I don't want it. You didn't talk to us. You didn't involve us in the conversation.
Yes.
And
inclusiveness.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is the area I live in and I represent. I got to answer these questions.
Yeah.
So, just trying to open up that dialogue and opening up that dialogue gave us more comfort so that we could talk to the people that we represented that are in our faces about what you're doing and why you're doing this to us.
Yeah.
You have to be able to answer those questions.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just mentioned that. I was going to ask you about Governor Landry and your relationship with him. What's your...
You opened the door.
Hey, that's right. And your assessment of his handling of this in relationship to the city leaders in the city of New Orleans. Yeah.
And I didn't open the door to a relationship.
No,
I did not. I did. Okay. I didn't.
So he was like, "Well, since you say it."
But I have been. Let's say the right word.
We feel you.
It's just family. It's just us listening.
No. It's been refreshing to see the relationship that he's building with Mayor Cantrell and with some of our city council members, as well as the relationship being fostered within the Orleans delegation, and the fact that he is willing to open and talk more about what's being done and what his vision is for the city. Now, just because I said it's been refreshing to have those conversations does not mean I've been in agreement with all of the conversations, but just to kind of have that insight as to what he's thinking about, what's being considered to happen in our city.
Yeah. And, and I think, I'm thankful for that, for you saying that. And I think that, people, obviously he has a strong ideology, and everything we've known from before when he was Attorney General, but relationships can really matter.
Yes.
And I think it's clear that everyone, and he has publicly expressed his value for the city of New Orleans,
yes.
If for nothing else, as its economic engine and wanting to protect, that golden goose. But it's not just, as you say, the French Quarter, right. And the people who work in the French Quarter live in the East, yes. as well as other parts of our city and everything. Yes. And so the whole city needs to be considered the golden goose and not just a portion of it. Exactly. And so continue. I want to encourage you to continue to having those conversations, and may they become more refreshing.
Yes,
in the new year.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing that we've been able to garner, because I understand since 2019, Mayor LaToya Cantrell has been trying to get a Tier 1 designation for the city of New Orleans, because we do entertain the masses on any given occasion, whether it be a second line, whether it be Mardi Gras, the Sugar Bowl games. We always have something huge. I went to the Final Four here in New Orleans, and so we're always a host city for major events. So how do you feel about us having that designation? And do you feel like it further protects us in terms of additional resources here for the city?
I definitely do. So that was another positive, a bright spot. We talked about that at the beginning, some of the positives, and that was one that I'm glad to have, because as you said, it's going to help bring in more resources to the city, and by us having that designation, it could position us to bring in more of those big events to our city.
And then there was a question that some residents were, because I monitor all of that kind of stuff so that I can have a full, robust conversation here on the air, but the Tier 1 designation, a lot of folk were a little apprehensive about the people running lights or people with illegal tent. Do you believe, or do you have any insight, and I'm sure I'll access to the Homeland Director as well, any insights into how their policies will affect the regular everyday citizen here? Because we appreciate the designation, but does that mean some sort of guerrilla warfare for our residents, right?
Well,
like we want to just be clear about what that looks like.
Yes,
for everyday folk here.
And unfortunately, I
then that's cool.
can't speak in depth about what it's going to look like for us yet.
Yeah,
it's new. We just glad we have it, but we'll have to start fishing out this and see what we can put in legislation and what we could put in ordinance. If we can, to protect our citizens from those concerns. But as right now, I can't speak.
I appreciate the candid nature in which you share what you can and you can't what you can't.
That's right.
But I do appreciate your leadership, because as I said, I was watching those hearings. I saw you on the House floor, and I think if it would have been any other floor, you could have said what you really was thinking. But because it was the House floor, because trust me, I watched. I was very much in tune to it, because we do know the intent behind certain pieces of legislation, especially when it's specific to our city and our culture and our way of doing business here. So again, thank you for your leadership. So I guess my last question would be, as a New Orleans native and a representative of the city, how do you cope with the emotional toll the incidents like this take on you, both personally and professionally? Because we like to do mental health check-ins specifically with our city leaders, because you guys are juggling all sorts of things, but you still have to find time
for yourself.
Be who you are for yourself and your family. So what are you doing personally and professionally in that area?
Personally and professionally, is just talking about it, talking with my colleagues, with my friends who pay attention, because some of them have absolutely no clue what's going on besides what's on the news. But just kind of talking about it and having those conversations, you start working some things out in your mind, and having those personal conversations also help me think as to what it is we can possibly do in the legislature. So on a professional level, what steps that I could take to maybe strengthen the city, to protect us from this, even though you can't protect yourself from evil, but you can situate yourself to be better prepared when or if it happens again. So just talking about it.
I think we have to go to break.
We
have to go to
absolutely
break.
do.
But yet, I want to just follow up on that after the break in terms of the legislative session that'll be coming up in a few months, and just other ideas also you may be having in terms of bills you might be filing for the benefit of your constituents in the East. And you also cover the Lower Nine?
Yes.
Yeah, in the Lower Ninth Ward.
Yes.
So on the other side of the break, we will have more with Rep. Candace Newell right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about. Oh.
This new dose is, well, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month, a service of the community scientist and Rise St. James. This month, we're focusing on lead, a heavy metal that's dense, soft, and poses serious health risks. In Cancer Alley, lead exposure from industrial emissions or contaminated soil can significantly increase cancer risks and other health problems. Stay informed and protect your health. For more information, visit risestjames.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, y'all. We are in conversation right now this morning with Rep. Candace Newell, giving us all the goods about what is happening in our legislature, the aftermath of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack, and is there a unified path forward for our city and our state in this country? As a matter of fact, we are on the precipice of another inauguration.
Oh, another inauguration, yeah.
Another inauguration, which is going to coincide with all of the celebratory things that are happening around Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's weekend, which I think is a weird juxtaposition.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here, and I'll continue to say thank you for your leadership, because even though many of us, myself included, can be very hypercritical of our local leadership, I could also protect it when it needs protecting. And that is what I'm hoping always transcends in conversations that we're having here on WBOK. It's okay to hold your leadership accountable, but it's also okay to protect your leadership from unwarranted, unsolicited, unnecessary attacks.
Yes.
Right? And so,
and I appreciate that from you.
Absolutely. So I know it was not easy to stand on the House floor and push back against a bill that you knew would be detrimental to this city, because as you stated, even though the guy who took his truck and committed this heinous act may not fall into the category of what that bill intended, we do know what that intent looks like, and it also could have been. Should he have survived that? Could have been something that he could have used in terms of just simply saying he was overwhelmed and didn't feel safe because he's not a native here.
Exactly.
So he doesn't understand the multitudes of people roaming around with liquor in their hands. Because in Texas, you can't do that, right?
No.
So let's be very clear here. I think this is an opportunity to revisit that piece of legislation and to talk about it in more depth, because now there's an angle of it that we weren't thinking about that would probably factor into that conversation.
And you said you watched it, and I don't know if you saw that Rep. Knox did try to put in an amendment on that legislation to give more protection or maybe even an exemption. I don't remember what the amendment did, but it was to a strict focus on the French Quarter, and that amendment was objected to. It did not get on, and that even fueled me more to make my statement as to what does this actually look like if we're not trying to protect an area where that could be devastated greatly from having this.
That's right. So the legislature will be meeting again. End of March, early April.
April, yes.
April
11th, I think.
Yeah. So the East is on the move. Lower Ninth Ward.
Yes.
What are some plans or some bills? Maybe I know it's still early, but some things that are going on. I know there's a lot of activity in the Lower Ninth Ward with this grain project I've read about and other things. What are your thoughts on some of those? Some ideas for the legislator.
So we don't have legislation specifically for the areas. However, we do have some capital outlay requests and projects that would be implemented into the budget, into the state budget. If
this is a fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a fiscal year. So in the fiscal year, we're limited to general bills, and we can have unlimited tax bills. But if the projects aren't line item vetoed at the end of the session, we can see some more funding coming to New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward just to help build up some projects that's already existing and to create for the creation of more in those areas.
Okay, yeah, and when I think about the young people, all over our city, but particularly in New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward. The high school situation, Martin Luther King, and everything. Have you been able to talk with them first, any young people, about their just feelings about all of what's been happening with the terrorist attack, and then also in terms of just what their thoughts are about community going forward?
Unfortunately, I have not been in the schools since the attack happened because I think the kids just went back on Monday, and I just hadn't been to the schools yet.
Okay, yeah. Well, that would be a good thing to do, just for them to see leadership and to know that I know when I was a child, and there was in New York City and in New Jersey, they had a nuclear plant that exploded. Not the whole plant, but it was an explosion, and I felt it in the Bronx, and it happened in New Jersey.
Wow.
And I needed some mental health.
Yes.
And Mama, what's going on? And everything. And then of course with 9/11, I'm being from New York City, and when that happened, and remembering those feelings, and this kind of brought up those same feelings for me.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute, is that for real? And if you get over the shock of it, then you deal with the reality of it and everything. So definitely reaching out and knowing that somebody's in charge. And our kids seeing somebody cares, it really makes a difference.
I mean, and to that point, though, those kids, specifically to the Martin Luther King and the areas, that area, they're experiencing layered trauma because they're also dealing with the closure of their school, right? And so when you think about your school closing and then this thing happens,
city under attack,
and it almost makes your immediate issue minute because now everybody's focused on that, and it's like, well,
what about me?
Yeah, we're still over here because for our children, the attack on Bourbon Street is what the adults are talking about, but for a child, a closure of their school is just as catastrophic for them, and so it's like this layered trauma that our kids have to keep perpetually going through. So I agree with Dr. Sanders there, where just to see leadership and just to be in conversation with us makes us feel like our issues matter as well. And I think that's a wonderful suggestion. But just before we go, what message do you hope to convey to both the residents of New Orleans and the broader U.S. public regarding an ongoing fight for public safety and justice in the city of New Orleans?
Well, my overall message to the people of New Orleans, as well as the rest of the state, is to just constantly stay vigilant as to what's going on in your area and particularly in your state. Be as engaged as possible, and as always, please get out and vote during every election. What I discussed at my church, Greater Liberty Baptist Church, on Sunday was that I understand people have voting fatigue, but we have to continuously get out, because we're not, what I feel is that we're not looking at how everything is connected. And we just had a school board election where in the runoff, 1,400 people decided who was going to be on our school board. And all of us might not have agreed with Eric Jones or had something negative, but as being one of his former students, I know he was one that would have supported the children, advancement of the children, and not advancement of an institution. And we go hard for our children on the internet, but we need to go hard for our kids in the voting booth as well. And that also transcends to who we have representing us on the state and the city level, because those elected officials also have some type of influence on what happens with all of our school boards. I know you, Dr. White, I know Dr. Bowie very well.
Yes.
And he's always been an advocate. And just being aware as to what's going on and making sure that you're voting constantly. As far as the nation, don't count New Orleans out. Don't count New Orleans out. We are resilient. We're tired, but we are resilient. You know, just because we make carrying this load look easy, it's still a heavy load. But don't count us out. We are still the host city. We've been doing it the longest, and we do it the best. But come here with the right intentions. Come here to have fun, and then go home. But leave our city the way you saw it, the way you found it. The way you found it.
We actually have a caller before you go. We'll take the caller, but we appreciate you for being here. Let's see what Reverend Calhoun has to say. Good morning, Rev. Welcome
good morning,
to the Good Morning
Rev.
Show.
Good morning to all. I do want to invite, we are organizing now where the parents and the students are going to come together in a town hall meeting concerning the issue at MLK. So we do want you to attend, Representative, to be a part of what the kids and what they're facing, and to try to find out the reason why the school did not receive authorization for another year at least. They were not an F school at this SPS school, so still trying to figure out what was the reasoning behind the closure. So
now, thank you for that invitation. You know how to reach me, but I'm glad you did call the radio station to invite me. But
well,
I'm
inviting. We are still under a process of organizing it, but we're bringing the students and the parents together to have a real town hall concerning education in the city of New Orleans.
Thank you, sir. I'm hoping to see some of our Orleans Parish School Board members.
They have deauthorized over 40 schools since they're in existence. Personally, I'd like to know what happened to those kids that was impacted by those deauthorizations.
Yes,
so
I'm hoping.
I want to just let you know that we will be having, and it's probably going to be sometime next week.
Thank
so
you,
we're
Reverend
just
Calhoun.
trying to get everybody together to come. All right, y'all.
Thank
ladies
you.
and
Appreciate it.
gentlemen, have a
Appreciate you.
good day.
Thank you.
Go ahead. You can respond to him now.
I'm just hoping that I also see some of our Orleans Parish School Board members at that town hall who can address those questions as to why those schools were closed, and especially if they weren't F ratings.
Yeah.
What happened to the funding and why they're closing?
Yeah, and to that point, before we go to break, Reverend Calhoun knows that if we get them to the town hall meeting, maybe we'll get answers, because you surely won't get them at the school board meeting, because they're not obligated to respond to you at the school board meeting. So thank you, Representative Kenneth, as well, for putting that on, out there. So maybe they'll show up at the town hall where it's a lot more lax,
free flowing.
Yeah, and we can get some of those answers to the tough questions.
More of a conversation.
Absolutely. But thank you once again.
Thank you so much
for being here. Thank you for your service to this city and its people. And anytime you want to sit back in this chair and have conversations with us about your work in the legislature, you're always welcome here at WBOK. So thank you once again. On the other side of the break, we'll have more
dialogue,
conversations.
yes.
We're definitely going to talk about the Mayor Bogalusa.
Oh, yes.
So hold on to your seat and
Oh,
join us after the break right here.
Yeah.
WBOK 1230 AM with New Orleans.
Is just talking about
all day long.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Matthew Livelsberger, who exploded a Tesla Cybertruck in Las Vegas, used AI to plan the attack. He took his own life before the explosion outside the Trump Hotel on New Year's Day. Authorities say he used ChatGPT for information. A study in JAMA Pediatrics suggests the possible link between fluoride exposure and lower IQs in children, but researchers aren't calling for fluoride removal from U.S. tap water, citing low-quality studies with high fluoride levels. The House passed the Laken Riley Act to boost border security, named after a Georgia student killed by an undocumented immigrant. The vote pressures Senate Democrats to support it on Friday, Riley's 23rd birthday. And the iHeart Podcast Awards return this March at South by Southwest, honoring 2024's top podcasts. Fans can vote at iHeartPodcastAwards.com until February 16th. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a special shout out to our partner, the All-State Sugar Bowl. During the holiday break, over 30 teachers had the opportunity to ride in the New Year's Eve parade, and boy, did they have a blast. In addition, we had over 60 teachers attend the All-State Sugar Bowl game. Out of the 60, 11 teachers received a $1,000 gift card to purchase needed supplies to enhance the learning experiences for their students. Thank you, All-State Sugar Bowl, for your commitment to NOLA's teachers.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My co-host today is Reverend Dr. Torrance
Good
Sanders,
morning on this chilly day.
An illustrious member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm an SG Row girl
That's
myself.
right. All right now.
And shout out to our super producer, Naira Sanders, holding us all together. And you know I miss my co-host, but it's always fun to talk to the Reverend.
Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned before when I was here, but, my oldest son is a music producer.
Okay.
And he's Grammy nominated 2 projects.
How do you forget to mention
that? I know, because it's coming up. He's excited. He produced a song for Chris Brown. On his latest album called Sweet Lullaby. The album is called 1111.
Okay.
But the song is called Sweet Lullaby. And then he also produced a song for Doechii. who's up for Best
Doechie's
Rap
so fire.
Album.
She's so fire.
And he produced a song called Death Roll.
Come on.
And so if they win, he wins.
Doechii is one of the best artists out right now. Not just rapper. I don't think you can even box her into a genre.
You're
she
right.
is dope.
She kind of Lauryn Hillish,
absolutely,
I think. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But show up on time.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lauren. Lauren just do what she wants. She a legend.
That's right.
I'll wait for her.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Shout out to your son, though. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But if you're just joining us, we were in conversations with Representative Candace Newell talking about the aftermath of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack. And is there a unified way to move forward in terms of our local and state leadership and all of the things that were happening in the legislative session in terms of bills and things of that nature. So we want to thank her for being here.
Yeah.
But as I said before the break, we're getting ready to have this conversation about Bogalusa Mayor.
Yes.
Tyron Trong. He's been accused in a drug and prostitution operation. And my opinions are very heavy.
Yeah.
So I'll let you have the floor.
Let's just back up. Let's let people make sure everybody knows. So I mean, as everybody knows what Bogalusa is, but he was elected in 2022.
Yes.
He replaced a long-term incumbent, a white man, who was there for many years, but he won the election at the age of 23. He's he was a recent college graduate. We interviewed him. I interviewed him along with OT shortly after his election on WBOK. Impressed, very intelligent young man, and obviously knows how to handle himself in the media and what have you. And now 2 years later, he's now being accused of the things that you mentioned, which I was very shocked to see yesterday when I saw that come across. Now, I'm not an expert on Bogalusa politics. I know you had time to study up on that. But when I saw that it was a sting and state police as well as local, I do know just from talking with him a few years ago and following it a little bit throughout the last couple of years that Bogalusa needed a lot of change and needs a lot of change and needed a shakeup. And that there are a lot of systems there that are old school and good old boy, and even though he kind of grew up there, he was bringing a fresh set of eyes and ears to everything. And I'm just wondering and hoping against hope that is not what this is all about. I'm being nice but we know that things can happen because it just didn't sound it was not only solicitation but also unmovable vehicle. So with the mayor how he got to steal a car?
Well, let's go to the article so we can understand who the key players are.
Break it down
because I want folk to understand the big picture in all of this, right? Mm-hmm. You're starting to see the same key players because let's not forget that the Attorney General's office is behind this this sting operation. Let's start there, right?
Yeah.
She's also the same Attorney General that's calling for an investigation into our mayor here in terms of her leadership in the wake of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack, right? So let's make sure that we could connect dots and identify key players and understand what this is really about. In my humble opinion. So it says, a Louisiana mayor was arrested on Tuesday for his alleged connection to a drug trafficking investigation conducted by authorities in his home state. Bogalusa Mayor Tyron Trong, 25, was arrested and charged with engaging in transactions involving proceeds from drug offenses, solicitation of prostitutes, and unauthorized use of a movable, which refers to intentionally taking or using one's personal property without their consent. We have zero tolerance for wrongdoing, especially from public officials, Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill said. I'm very proud of all of our law enforcement agencies who worked on this investigation. Louisiana State Police said its Narcotics and Violent Crime Task Force launched an investigation into a drug trafficking organization, DTO, operating in Bogalusa area in April of 2024. The operation was conducted over several months in collaboration with the 22nd Judicial District Court, District Attorney's Office, Morrell's Office, and the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. The investigation found that
I wonder what DEQ had to do with it.
Listen, you connect the dots and find out the key players. The investigation found that DTO was allegedly involved in the distribution of opioids, high-grade marijuana, THC products, and MDMA, among other controlled dangerous substances. Investigators also learned that the members of the organization used social media platforms to distribute drugs and manage payments, which allowed them to expand their reach in criminal activity, the police said. The profits from drug sales were alleged to be used to purchase firearms, some of which were distributed to individuals prohibited by law from possessing a firearm, and others were linked to violent crimes in the Bogalusa area. Law enforcement officials obtained and executed multiple search warrants and arrest warrants, leading to the arrest of 7 alleged members of the organization. Like Trung, the other 6 suspects were arrested for engaging in transactions involving proceeds from the drug offenses. So they even put,
and that's from which article? That's from NOLA.com?
No. This is the New York Post.
Okay, wow.
He's gone.
Okay.
He's gone outside of the confines of the state of Louisiana.
Yes. Wow.
Right, because we have to make this a spectacle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, and I'm going to tell you the picture they used was a picture of him holding a baby that said, with a onesie on that says "Vote for my daddy."
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So they used a picture of him and his baby in this article. His bond was set at $150,000, which he posted.
Okay.
And he's currently out on bond.
Okay.
Yes. At age 23, like you stated, Trung became the mayor of Bogalusa in 2022, ousting the city's incumbent, Wendy O'Quinn. I wonder where she fits into this investigation, who was elected in her first term in 2014. By winning the election, Trung became the city's youngest mayor in history, as well as one of Louisiana's youngest mayors ever.
Yes.
So the phone lines are open, right? The number here is 504-582-9422. And I'm just going to tell you that I made a post on my social media page, on my page.
Okay.
And I liken this to Thanos, right? Thanos is out here collecting infinity stones. And I'm trying to ask the people of Louisiana, is your city an infinity stone?
Now break that down for me.
Thieves don't break into empty houses. If they come for you, there's something of value that they want. And to put together this, you're not going to make me believe that a man is smart enough, savvy enough, astute enough to become the mayor at 23 years old.
23 years old.
And then get caught in a prostitution drug trafficking ring that they're using social media to collaborate.
And stealing a car.
Something in the water ain't clean.
It does not make sense. I'm smart and I'm savvy, but then I'm foolish and simple.
I'm telling you, that's how I felt about Luigi.
Yeah.
Luigi was smart and astute enough, cunning enough, sophisticated enough to put this whole plan together to assassinate an executive on the street. He had to find out his whereabouts, his movements, all of that. But he got caught eating a hash brown in McDonald's with the same backpack that he used to plan out this elaborate murder.
You sound like you got some conspiracy there.
I'm just asking questions because I'm just trying to figure out how you go your whole entire life.
Yeah.
And at 23, you attain something that most people don't attain in their lifetime.
That's right.
But then you are silly enough, sloppy enough.
I obviously it said, I can't speak what I don't know, but I believe there's a whole lot more to this story.
And somebody got to tell it to me.
And we will find out. And the problem is, and the issue is that, when you're involved in, when you're accused of something like this, it costs. I don't believe he's from wealth. I don't know, how much support he's going to get from, his community in terms of being able to successfully to fight this or to put up a defense.
And sometimes that's all that they want. It's to malign you to where you're defenseless and you cannot defend yourself. You don't have the means to defend yourself, and they just beat you down with a court system, or they beat you down with false allegations, right? And you spend so much of your time trying to say, I didn't do this, because I don't know if he's guilty or innocent. But what I'm saying is, how can you be that astute on one hand and that sloppy and silly on the other? The math ain't mathing to me, right? And to be a young black mayor of a city, right? And to do the things that it would take to get to that point, and then to use social media for a drug and prostitution operation. So come on now.
That does not add up.
And anything that the Attorney General touches, I'm a question, because I would like to think I would like to put the conversation forward that there's an agenda there. Like I'm saying this, you ain't got to say it past. I'm saying it feels like an agenda to me. And let the chips fall where they may, because like I said when we were discussing Diddy and all of the other nefarious things that have happened or alleged to have happened, if the mayor of Bogalusa is guilty of this, hold him accountable.
Yes,
please do so. But if this is a witch hunt, we want the Attorney General to be held accountable. We want all of the law enforcement officers to be held accountable, because they said this was going on for months and months. And you didn't show us any evidence of it. All you told us was the allegations that he's being accused of.
When I noticed in the article you read, and they said the whatever number judicial district was involved.
I think the 22nd.
The 22nd. So that means there had to have been some court.
The 22nd Judicial District Court, District Attorney's Office.
So probably some court involvement in terms of warrants, or not just warrants, but maybe surveillance and other kinds of things going on, because he is an elected official. But I just want to say I'm praying for him. Because that is not. I just know that when he decided to run for public office and to help his hometown,
a public target,
and that in his wildest nightmares he couldn't have thought that this would come to pass. Well, it would be in this. Regardless, let's say his guilt or innocence, it's right now it's still just a weighty situation. So I'm just praying for him, his family, his son, and everything that he'd be able to continue to do what he needed to do.
This is what I'll tell the mayor of Bogalusa as well. I watch a lot of TV, a lot of movies. I watched a movie called State of Play last night. You need to watch it if you have not. But
who's in there?
Ben Affleck is a congressman in there.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give the movie away.
Yeah, don't give it away. Yeah.
But in the movie, they sent a woman to infiltrate his circle.
Camp,
right. And he ended up falling for the girl and having a relationship with her, even though he's married. And she was the linchpin to try to
to take him down.
To take him down. But there's a plot twist to the movie.
Come on,
you should go watch State of Play. Well, but I'm telling you,
that's classic stuff there.
I don't believe nothing right now when it comes down to the way the state is handling its leadership in terms of these. To me, they look like very coordinated attacks.
Well,
that's what they look like to me.
Whenever I advise, as a former elected official, and whenever I advise any other elected officials, I tell them no new friends.
No new friends.
No friends.
Baby, you even got to check your old ones. Because even if the money right, and you got to check if the money right.
You got to watch some of your old ones.
You got to check some of your old ones.
No new. I mean, you can have a new acquaintances. You ain't gonna be able to stop that. I had a whole lot of new acquaintances.
You got to be like, who sent you?
Yeah, that's right. But no new friend now. We ain't gonna be friends. We we can work together.
You definitely slide in my bed like the congressman let the little girl slide in his bed. He only knew it 3 months.
No new friends.
So listen, I think that but there's more that meets the eye with this. I think the timing of this is also very telling, right? But you're not going to tell me that even in these places where black mayors have been ousted out of their positions, that this is not a part of this coordinated effort. And if you can't oust him because he overwhelmingly was voted into this office, then you got to muddy him down, right? And make him look undesirable to the community. So I would implore people to not take everything at face value and to ask critical questions and to think about the players involved. Because I've never heard this woman's name so much as I've heard it since she's become the Attorney General.
But, my piece is that also Bogalusa, in terms of rural Louisiana, needs a lot of help. The people of Bogalusa need a lot of help. There's a lot of poverty there. I've been there once or twice. There's a lot of poverty there. The industry has left. There's a lot of desperation, amongst our people trying to survive there. I think he provided some hope there. But they're trying to attract industry that would be relevant, that would not be building a jail, like they do in a lot of rural Louisiana and other things that would not provide a good living. And that's the challenge, with so many of our people who are in rural Louisiana in terms of getting the real opportunity for their lives. And that's the real bigger picture. Well, another big picture, I'll put it that way, is the issue of leadership. But then still now all of this, what's still happening with the people of Bogalusa who've been struggling and may continue to struggle because they still don't have the resources, whether statewide or otherwise, that they need. And if he was providing hope to them, what happens to that now?
I would like to see what, if anybody in Bogalusa, like, what did they feel about their mayor in terms of his rating? I would like to see where that was when this whole thing came out. Because, again, you know, I'm just saying, I really want to understand if people are paying attention to what this just does not feel right to me. And again, if he's responsible for the things they're alleging, then hold him accountable. Go ahead on and bring him before the 22nd Judicial District Court and make certain that he atones for those. But if anything about this doesn't smell right and it's proven that it's not legit, then everybody involved should be held to account for this, because he will never get his life back in terms of what it was, his image back, his character. All of that has been
at the age of 25.
At the age of 25. So we need to be very clear and very mindful of what we don't know when stories like this break. Because you and I were talking about the Pittsburgh Courier. And their article that says, "Are black mayors under attack across the United States?" And when you go to click on the article, the whole site is
under
down.
construction.
The whole site is gone, right?
We'll come back to that question
that's
later.
Gonna be your last time writing an article for this platform. The whole
well, you
site
know,
is down.
I remember, was it, I think it was Chris Rock in one of his specials years ago, and they were talking about, you know, they said people are saying that black men are endangered species. He said, wrong. He said the government protects endangered species.
And pets.
And pets.
And
That's
pets.
right. Yeah. So I said, no, you know, we ain't endangered.
We not because
we wish we would have some federal protection, right?
Right.
We ever call it.
So on Black Source Media, there's an article that says, "Can black leadership and our rich culture survive and thrive in a new NOLA?" And I would like to say that this article, you could replace New Orleans with any city where black leadership is, because at the very bottom of it, this is a guest columnist named Otis Tucker. He said something at the very bottom. You can go read it on Black Source Media if you would like, but this is the part that brings it all together. And he's talking about New Orleans, but just imagine you can take New Orleans out and put Shreveport,
Jackson, Mississippi,
Jackson, put Baton Rouge,
places in Tennessee.
Come on now, right? It says, whether black leadership thrives in the new New Orleans depends on us. If we fail to act, to protect our culture, to vote for leaders who represent our interests, and to unite as a community, we risk losing the city's soul. No black leadership means no black representation, and no representation means decisions get made without us. The stakes are high. If we don't fight for our seat at the table, the new New Orleans may serve a future we don't recognize, with second-line clubs relegated to tourist routes and hot dog wieners toasting your grandma's sacred gumbo pot. The choice is ours. Protect our roots or watch them disappear. Black New Orleans must lead, unite, and thrive, because without us, New Orleans is a totally different place.
But that brings the question, and you may have said this some time ago. Where's all of our outrage? I'm not an angry person by nature, but we need more political outrage when we see things like this happening, with the schools being closed. And not just before Martin Luther King, but the Arthur School too. Yes. You got 98 or so odd kids there, and I don't see no reason why the school board couldn't find $1 million, whatever it takes, to keep that school open for the rest of this school year, so that those kids wouldn't have the life-changing move of having to leave a school in the middle of the school year, be evicted from a school out in the middle of a school year to go to and find another school. That is just untenable. So we have those things going on. We need more outrage. We need more outrage when the 36 million that all of a sudden we realized we didn't have in the school system or whatever. We need more outrage when we look at a whole lot of things in our city. And this is not to blame us as a people. We know people feel beaten down. Sometimes people feel like leadership is not available to them. But, movements start from the bottom. Dr. King didn't start the Montgomery bus boycott. He was called to speak on their behalf. But they said, we're going to do this, and he said, you come on and help us out. But the people wanted to move. And so we have to, and all of us have to figure out what is that thing going to be that's going to make us as a people really say, you know what, we ain't taking no more. And I think it first begins, I'll go back to what I'm talking about, an agenda.
Yeah.
And,
Big
because
agenda.
an agenda and not a person, because people come and people go. But it has to be about an agenda and that we push forward no matter whose face is in the chair.
It's about to get interesting because on the line right now, Ken Jones is calling. Good morning, Ken. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. What's up, Brother Sanders?
All right. Bless you.
Well, I'm in. Good morning, sister. I just got to say to y'all, it's wonderful that you all are not putting this out. I would hope more people are listening, because the reality is this: ain't nobody coming to save us but us, and it does start torn from the bottom up, and that's what I'm missing. I see most people who are most affected being most apathetic about this. It is like, I'm okay. It's really not happening. The orange guy's not going to bother me. That it's okay if they come after our leaders. I mean, yeah. And earlier you were talking about, by extension, protecting the chief is protecting Cantrell. True enough. And to that, let me start there, and then we'll go back to the issues of community. The reality is this: we spend 25 to 50% of our budget in any American city on policing. Why? Because there are bad guys out there. 3 to 7% of the population is aberrant. That is part of it. We call them criminals. They do things, and we have to have people to stop them. That is what happened on New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day, technically. The bad guys got met by the good guys, and the good guys won because there were enough of them out there in force to make it happen. All these barriers and all this other hand-wringing, whining, and diaper wetting, be done. Because next, it's going to be drones packed with explosives, or like the video game Army of Two, or as already happened in California when they robbed the bank in North Hollywood some 20 years ago. For folks who don't know, they can look it up. 3 heavily armored guys took on 40 cops and killed most of them. So in terms of this, we got to get over that. And we are under serious attack. Now, I don't always agree with my mayor. I really don't. But she got voted for twice by people, and people need to stand up for that. She does make mistakes. Yeah, we know that. But all in all, I think she tries and she gives her best. That's all we can really ask of anybody. The question is, on that note, going forward, who do we pick? As you always hear me say, Doc, make sure somebody's running a popsicle stand first. Because the truth be told is, we get a lot of people who tell us what we want to hear. I'm going to bring down inflation. I'm going to lower food prices. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They have zero ability to do it. Zero. What has our governor run? Nothing. First thing he did was raise taxes. That's not good. That's not going to get you somewhere. It's not going to make you competitive. So in reality, what we should be doing is, as I always say, educate ourselves on issues, advocate for the policies that we want to have, and participate in voting and donating. That's what we need to be doing. But the thing is, the people at the bottom of the heap got to do this. The quote elites like us, we're not it. I mean, we can help organize, strategize, and execute. But the actual masses, the numbers, you need numbers. And until that happens, things are not going to get better. Folks got to wake up.
Yep.
That's it. So with that said,
I'll be quiet, get off this phone and let y'all do what y'all doing and keep edifying. And, thank you for everything that you've done, both of the doctors here, because I forget you're both doctors. So, thank you very much, and I'll catch y'all later.
Thank you so much. Have a great one. Listen, that was a lot. You want to just say a little closing thing to it, because we got to go to break.
Yeah, well, hey, no, I just hope that we in 2025 we come alive.
Yeah.
And that we connect the dots, but we continue to get involved. The number that sticks out to me still from the gubernatorial election: 600,000 registered Black folks didn't vote.
Well, when the math ain't mathin', y'all better remember to carry the one.
That's right.
When the math ain't mathin', ask some questions, y'all.
Hey.
Probe a little bit deeper. This is where critical thinking comes into play. And simply because it's printed in the article, or because somebody's accused of something or something is alleged, does not make it true. And again, we don't condone criminal activity here. So if the mayor of Bogalusa is in fact guilty of what they're alleging, then he should be held accountable. But if something in the water ain't clean, we ought to fight like HELL hockey sticks and make certain that the folk who bought these frivolous things against him are also held to account.
Hey,
let's make sure it's equitable.
That's right. After the break, we'll be talking to Delgado Community College.
Yeah, we'll have that and a whole lot more on the other side. This is WBOK 1230 AM.
What New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Today marks 1 week since the attack on Bourbon Street, where 14 people died and dozens more injured. In response to last week's tragedy, the New Orleans City Council Criminal Justice and Public Works Committee will hold a joint meeting to discuss security and measures for the city. The focus of the meeting will be on implementing barriers to limit roadway and sidewalk access. The meeting was originally set for Monday, but was rescheduled for today and gets underway at noon at City Hall inside council chambers. This morning, NOPD Superintendent Anchor Patrick is pushing back against critics who've called for her to step down following the Bourbon Street terror attack. A group of faith leaders stood united in support of Kirkpatrick on Tuesday. They say she's on the right path forward for the city of New Orleans. Today, the state of Louisiana will pay tribute to Drew Dauphin, one of the 14 people who died in last week's attack on Bourbon Street. The 26-year-old was from Alabama and graduated from Auburn back in 2023. He worked at the Honda auto plant in Alabama. Dauphin was visiting the Crescent City to attend a concert the night his life was tragically cut short. A local church will hold a prayer vigil tonight in tribute to the Bourbon Street attack victims. One Accord Ministries invites the community to join them at the corner of Bourbon and Canal Streets, where they'll hold a vigil to honor the lives lost and support those affected by the tragedy. The vigil starts at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Jennifer Avegno, Health Director for the City of New Orleans. It's flu season, so now's the time to roll up your sleeves and get your flu shot. Flu cases are on the rise and affect every age. From handshakes to friendly hugs to touching infected surfaces, the flu can be transmitted to anyone, anywhere. Don't let the flu sideline you from all the fun things you love about our city. Getting your flu shot is one of the easiest things you can do to protect yourself. Be flu ready NOLA and get your flu shot today. Visit healthyheartcpp.org to learn more.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My co-host in studio today is none other than Reverend Dr. Torres Sanders.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Boy,
y'all.
35 minutes after the hour already. Time
Yes,
flies.
I mean, when you're having fun.
We're having fun,
When you're
boy.
having fun. We want to thank again our in-studio guest representative Candace Noel for joining us this morning. And if you're just now joining us, we had some spirited conversation about the Mayor of Bogalusa and his current situation that is happening there, and we're just trying to figure out, you know, what's really going on. If he did what they say he did, then you know, you just let your whole career go up in smoke. But if by some chance you're innocent of these things, like
if there's some shenanigans
going
on. But now we have Dr.
Yeah.
Tamika Duplessis of Delgado Community College on the line. Good morning, Dr. Duplessis.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Ooh, she woke. How you doing, Doc?
I am fabulous. How are you?
We're great. So we know that we're going to talk about all the wonderful things that are happening at Delgado Community College. And every time our partners from Delgado come on, I know I'm informed because I didn't even know all of the wonderful offerings that are taking place over at Delgado. So thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Duplessis, for our benefit of our listeners, just tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do at Delgado. And then I know semester is starting soon. Why would someone choose Delgado Community College?
Thank you so much. So my name is Tamika Duplessis, and I serve Delgado as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. I am a resident of New Orleans, born and raised right here in the city. You know, when we talk about who you are and where you go, we always talk about the high school. So I am representing Xavier Prep.
All right.
Absolutely. So I ended up getting my bachelor's degree from Xavier University. I went on to Tulane School of Medicine and got my PhD. And y'all, let me tell you, I taught one class about 15 years ago, adjunct, at Delgado Community College, and I fell in love. Can I tell you I never left?
Wow. That's all right.
Well, listen, when you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. So I'm glad that you found your passion and your purpose, and it all happens to align right there at Delgado.
Absolutely. It is all about the mission and vision. And what we do here, bar none, the best job and best place to work.
Well, yes, so tell us a little bit about Delgado. I know there's over 100 degrees and certificate programs. Give our listeners a taste of kind of what types of programs and degrees are offered there and how they relate to the workforce.
Absolutely. So first of all, let's do a quick and dirty why Delgado. And, you know, for me, the easiest way to talk about why Delgado is simply that we are flexible, affordable, and transferable. So when you're looking for an educational opportunity where you have multiple locations, you have multiple modalities, day, night, evening, online, hybrid, virtual, it really, really runs the spectrum of how students can take courses in a way that works best for them and their families. We talk about affordability. You know, just to, you know, sum it up, Delgado costs about a third of what Louisiana public institutions cost. And we don't even want to talk about the four-year privates, right? So for a fraction of the cost, you can get a high-quality education that can lead to careers unimaginable and transferable. Our courses transfer anywhere in New Orleans, the region, and across the country. So we really offer a lot. When we talk about why Delgado, there's so many avenues, so many programs, and so many reasons why.
Well, and so when does the semester start? And you give, if I said yes, right now, I want to go to Delgado, what would I have to do?
Absolutely. So what do you have to do? So right now, we are in full registration mode. Today and tomorrow, we have registration events where students can come in. It's like a one-stop shop. We have advisors, financial aid, student support services, individuals ready to assist you when you walk in the door. Our application is easy. It is online. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. You can go to www.dcc.edu and click on apply, and the application is there. All next week, we are in, again, full registration mode. We will be open from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. registering students. And you know what? Now it could not be a better time to embark on a new career, a course to just level up and skill up. There's so many things to offer. You mentioned the 100 different programs. We have programs that span from associate's degrees, certificates, technical diplomas. We didn't even talk about the 200 plus non-credit workforce development courses. So when you're looking at a comprehensive institution right here in our community, Delgado is the place to be.
And now, you know, a lot of people are familiar with degree programs, obviously, but talk a little bit more about the certificate programs. I know that's kind of seemed like all the rage now in terms of people getting certificates. What is a certificate, and what is the value of that?
Okay, so when we talk about certificates, it's all about the number of courses or credit hours to completion. So associate's degree is about 60 credit hours. Certificates can be around 30-ish. But a lot of our certificates are workforce ready to go. Students can come in and get a certificate and be job ready in a couple of months. So when we talk about fast track and moving into jobs quickly, I want to say over 50 plus certificates are packaged in a way that students can, in a short amount of time, go straight to work on both credit and non-credit sides. Pharmacy, tech, all of our allied health certificates are just a few in those areas that can get students' workforce ready to go in just a short amount of time.
Wow. And one other thing, in terms of dual enrollment, I mean, I know that's a wonderful thing for high school students. Talk about Delgado and dual enrollment. And for our listeners and parents who may be listening, talk to them about what dual enrollment is and the advantages of it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a product of dual enrollment. I have a high schooler right now that's in dual enrollment at Delgado. So the thing about dual enrollment is that it allows high school students to earn high school and credit courses at the exact same time. And if you know Delgado and our price point, it is at an affordable cost. So if parents are looking for students to go off to college or to go into a 4-year, what an affordable way to do it through dual enrollment. And I'm going to tell you another advantage. Students in high school get a feel for what the college life is like and what that rigor is like, so that when they land at a 4-year or at a 2-year college, they already know what to expect. They have that experience, and they've taken a lot of the prerequisites, so when they get to college, they can go straight into their programs.
So for me, and then listening to you, as a transfer student, because I didn't finish at the college where I started, right? And so can you talk to us about the transferability of Delgado's credits through the statewide agreements and how these benefit students looking to pursue further education after completing their programs at Delgado?
Absolutely. So transferability is one of the things that we tout here at Delgado Community College. And we've worked really, really hard with institutions far and wide to make sure that the courses that are taught here are at the academic standard and rigor that we see at the 4 years. So what we see students doing is embarking on an academic program for transfer here at Delgado and saving themselves thousands of dollars. And they're doing so in an environment that is close to home, in their own backyard, and they're getting these basic skills that transfer anywhere. And please remember that Delgado has the same accrediting body as our 4-year partners. We are all SACS accredited. So when I talk about that vigor and that rigor being on that same level, it truly is.
Yeah. No. And the other thing I guess I'd like you to talk about is the piece of students or potential students who may not currently have a high school diploma or what's the new thing, high set. Do y'all assist with that, or do they have to go through another program first, or can they enroll while they're finishing up high school, so to speak, or how does that work now?
So what's interesting, what you're bringing up sounds like our adult ed program.
Okay.
And basically, you do not have to have a high school diploma to go to Delgado Community College. We have programs and pathways that allow students to finish up those high school requirements and start earning credits toward their associate's degree. The thing about Delgado, we're open admissions, right? We're an open admissions institution. As long as you are 16 and older and have a desire to be here, we have a pathway for you. And our adult ed program is a wonderful way for adults and young folks alike to earn either the high SCAD or high school diploma and earn eligibility for Title IV aid. So when we talk about avenues for students who don't have a high school diploma, we have so many inroads into our program through adult ed and through our credit side that will allow people to get in, get the skills they need so that they can pursue the career of their dreams.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Dr. Tamika Duplessis, Associate Vice President of Student Affairs for Delgado. And we have to go to break, but on the other side of the break, we'll continue with more in-depth conversation about all things Delgado right here, WBOK 1230 AM.
Station you listen to all day long.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is a WDSU First Warning Weather Alert Day due to another round of cold air. Temperatures the first half of the day stay in the 30s. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs only climbing to the upper 40s, maybe a few 50s. Then lows tonight are back near the freezing mark, a little bit below it. Then rain returns for Thursday into our Friday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Join me, Randy Chambliss, and my co-hosts Dion Dana and Barry Mallory on Helping the Village Radio Show, where we raise awareness, advocate for real solutions, and coordinate supportive services to prevent and reduce homelessness. We're connecting the dots to build stronger, thriving communities. Tune in every first and third Saturday at 2 p.m. as we collaborate with local leaders, real estate investors, and nonprofits, working together to provide hope and opportunity for those in need. Helping the Village Radio Show, empowering change one community at a time.
Tune in Friday, September 13th at 8 a.m. to hear Liberty Bank and Trust discuss customized banking solutions. Power your dream and fuel community growth. Live this Friday, September 13th at 8 a.m. on the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 a.m.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. We are in conversation right now with Dr. Tamika Duplessis, Associate Vice President of Student Affairs for Delgado. Listen, Doc, off air, Dr. Torrin and I were talking. We was like, every time Dr. Duplessis come here, I feel like we need to go sign up.
That's right. I want a certificate.
at Delgado.
Come on, we got something for everybody.
Well, I was telling, I said, I don't know how to cook. I can make some good cornflakes, but I said I may go to this culinary arts thing, and just so I can cook better at home, and I might open up something later on, maybe a little restaurant, do some suppers.
So he could put together a little grits instead of eating cornflakes every morning. He want to come and see what that culinary arts program is talking about. But honestly, although off air we were already talking to about a student of a parent reached out to me about 2 days ago, and she was asking me about a pathway forward for her son, and I was telling Dr. Torrin, this is perfect for him. I'm going to connect this parent with you as soon as I get off air, because what you're offering at Delgado for his current life situation the traditional school setting is not where he needs to be. I think this will be perfect for him. So just be looking for a call. Somebody's going to say, Dr. Wyatt gave me a number to call you, but I'm going to connect you with this parent today because I think this is a wonderful pathway forward for him to get the academia he's looking for without forcing himself into a box that he no longer fits in a traditional school setting.
And, you know, one of the things about Delgado is that we pride ourselves on meeting our students where they are. Wherever you are in your educational journey, Delgado has programs that will get you to your desired outcome. And I think that's part of our mission is kind of what drew me in and has kept me here all this time.
And Doc, just so kind of a serious question, I know you have an answer for it though. And I read years ago, and it's not necessarily about Delgado, but about community colleges around the country related to Black males specifically and retention. And the report said that you know Black males go into community colleges as well as four-year colleges, but the issue of retention, getting them to the end. How is the Black male population at Delgado? And then are there specific programs set aside for them to make sure that they can complete, you know, because there's the challenges of still being in your neighborhood, dealing with family issues, as well as just possible remediation academically and getting to the finish line?
I'm so happy you brought that up. Black male retention and completion is an issue across the board nationwide. And here in New Orleans and in our region, we are seeing the exact same thing. We have been hyper-focused on retention and completion of our students because it is our goal, if you come to us, that you be successful. So we have a number of programs that are focused on African-American males and African-Americans completion in general. So our TRIO program is just one example of underserved individuals, particularly Black males and Black females, and giving them the extra support that they need to be successful. Our chancellor, Dr. Larissa Littleton-Staub, has been hyper-focused on student success and completion. You know, our KPIs and our matrix, which we measure ourselves and how we're doing up against other institutions, are all about retention and completion of these populations that have been historically excluded from higher education. At Delgado Community College, we wrap our arms around our students and we make sure that they are supported throughout their journey here. But, you know, that Black male population is something that it's tough to see and hear and talk about. I have 3 sons, all African-American males. They're going to be embarking on their college careers, and one next year and another in a couple years after that. And it's just something that we really, as a community, have to support them and normalize college going in our own community and support them. The institutions are doing all that we can, but as a community, we can wrap our arms around them and support these young men and let them know it's okay to go to college. You know, it's all about delayed gratification a lot of times, and the fact that you make money, right, coming out of high school, but look at your earning potential when you go to college and you get those advanced credentials and advanced degrees. One of my mantras that I tell my students all the time is that things will be greater later, right? Pay your dues, get your degree, get your education, and the sky is the limit after that.
Well, I also know one of the attractions of Delgado is their simple open enrollment process. We always hear students complaining about how difficult it is to just get registered or get signed up or get enrolled at a college or university. So can you talk to us about the simple and open enrollment process, and how does the college's approach to admissions, including the ability to apply for scholarships, will one form benefit prospective students?
So we have transparent enrollment process and simple, easy steps to do so. We have one application for admissions. It's all online. It can be completed in about 10 minutes. In terms of enrollment, many students, within 15, 20 minutes, they can have access, once everything clears, to our registration system. So quite possibly a student can apply and be enrolled in classes within a matter of hours. It's just that simple. We have student support services available online, on the phone, and in person. Should anyone need any assistance walking through these processes or have questions as you go, we can also apply for scholarships with just one form. It's called Award Spring, and it is available on our website. But just one application for scholarships connects students to every single additional funding mechanism that we have outside of federal financial aid. So we've done a lot to streamline our processes and make it as easy as possible. But you know what? Also making sure that we support our students through that process is something that we've excelled in.
Hey, Dr. Duplessis, again, we want to thank you for being with us and letting our listeners know about all the offerings at Delgado and the value of a Delgado education. We're almost at our time where we have to wrap up. What are some of your final words that you'd like our listeners to know?
So right now, registration is open. Our spring semester starts Saturday, January 18th and runs through Tuesday, May 13th. We also have 2 smaller sessions. We have a 12-week session that starts in February and 2 smaller 8-week sessions. We have registration events that start today and run through next week. We also want to talk about our Super Saturday registration, which is a big deal for us. It's this coming Saturday, January 11th, at our City Park campus from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we look forward to having everybody come out with their family, bring a friend, and get registered for the spring.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tamika Duplessis, for being here with us. We always enjoy our partnership with WBOK and Delgado. So thank you for all you do in service to our children in this city. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You have a great day.
Have a great one. Listen, I'm telling you, I feel like I want to go and roll. I'm not joking. Like she's the best.
She's the best
cheerleader for that institution. I wanted to say that to her when she was on air, but if the president of that institution is listening,
yes,
you got to keep her.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, she's just vibrant. She make you want to
sign
up.
It's definitely. I mean, Delgado is a very needed institution in our community, and when I asked that question about high school. Those who don't have a high school graduation or diploma, that's also critical. We have a lot of people in our community that didn't get there. So, but they think, hey, I can never go back to school.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. There's a pathway. Go and get it. And then if you still want to go to 4-year college, which is one wonderful thing, you can do that.
Absolutely.
At a lower cost and make your move. Hey.
So the reason I needed a minute or two, right? Because I wanted to bring the folks' attention to the Louisiana Illuminator has an article that says Louisiana argues parts of the Voting Rights Act are unconstitutional in the redistricting case. And whose face is front and center in this article? Attorney General Liz Murrill. The folk were saying that that the maps were unconstitutional racial gerrymandering.
And that went through the Supreme Court and everything.
Well, the state that you live in, not New York where you're from, but the state that you live in has appealed the judge's decision saying that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 prohibits voting laws or procedures that purposely discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in a language minority group. Talking about using something to flip it and use it against you, right? So that's what they're doing. They're arguing that.
I'm not surprised.
Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. Nothing new. And that's why, for this, I know we still got another week or so before Martin Luther King holiday and celebration. But use this, for service, but use that time to study.
Because you got to know what's happening.
And know what's happening. Yeah. Connect the historical dots. It was in Selma, and going across that Edmund Pettus Bridge. And we talked about John Lewis for a minute this morning with Good Trouble. People got beat in the head. And then weeks later, months later, the Voting Rights Act was passed. And so we need that participation. We need that work from all of us to do it and to make sure that we maintain what was gained by our ancestors.
The article says last year, Republican attorney generals from 14 states filed an amicus brief in the case arguing Section 2 is unconstitutional. That act followed a 2023 decision in the U.S. 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis that only the federal government can seek an enforcement ruling under the Voting Rights Act rather than individuals. So they're basically, this is
she's just following the same.
You should never be surprised.
Your current governor and former attorney general had set in place.
You absolutely should not be surprised. But please, please, please. Listen, know your rights.
That's right.
Know your reach. Know the power of your voice. This has been an amazing show. We want to thank all of our guests.
I enjoyed myself. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. We want to thank our partners, Ed Delgado, Dr. Samika Duplessis. I want to thank my co-host, Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders, for being in spirited conversation with me. And I want to thank my super producer, Naira Sanders, for holding us all together. But up next, we want to invite you to the front porch with Grilling and Kemper. Until next time, we going to see y'all tomorrow.
Amen.
WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New
I had to
Orleans
say
is
amen after
talking
that
about
sermon.
all day long.
Have you heard the secret of what New Orleans is talking about? I promise everything will be okay if you're listening here on the airwaves. It's that WBOK 12:30 a.m.
From the campus of Xavier University. WBOK 12:30 a.m. Go. An Equity Media Station.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Several injuries are reported in Malibu as the Palisades fire, now nearly 3,000 acres, continues to rage. A 25-year-old female firefighter is hospitalized with a serious head injury, and others with burns are seeking medical assistance. Cold weather and freeze alerts are in effect from Florida to New Mexico after a major winter storm. A new storm watch is issued for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana starting Thursday and moving to Tennessee on Friday. Job openings rose to 8.1 million in November, led by professional and business services. Hires were little changed, and fewer workers quit their jobs. And a Buenos Aires hotel worker accused of delivering drugs to singer Liam Payne before his death has turned himself in. TMZ reports the 21-year-old negotiated his surrender and was arrested but hasn't entered a plea or commented on the charges. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a special shout out to our partner, the All-State Sugar Bowl. During the holiday break, over 30 teachers had the opportunity to ride in the New Year's Eve parade, and boy, did they have a blast. In addition, we had over 60 teachers attend the All-State Sugar Bowl game. Out of the 60, 11 teachers received a $1,000 gift card to purchase needed supplies to enhance the learning experiences for their students. Thank you, All-State Sugar Bowl, for your commitment to NOLA's teachers.